Them be promise us say we go get light and power. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day dollar just they get it higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind, but thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you lie down, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego die the political, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. This one not day off in mind, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come, oh yo yo. Mayegun diary political, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ dódódódó.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ dódódódó.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í kó níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary.
Thank you so much for joining me. Please share this broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends and tell them Mayegun today.
Mayegun diary political.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Godfatherism.
Also, I would like you to please tag the people you considered as elders, older people, the people that actually need to watch this broadcast with you. Share the broadcast.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Read the caption of the broadcast. Read the description as well. Take your time, please, and share the broadcast.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Can I ask you something?
Ewúrẹ́.
Mayegun máa wí.
What is wrong with these old people who have decided to throw everything into the ring in defending Tinubu? What is wrong with these old people? Again, dear old people.
Kí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá ti ń darí bá.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Let us touch on the ones that actually affect you right now. The economy.
Mayegun ti dé.
Òkúra olóṣèlú.
Mayegun máa wí.
Paul who is hiring more liars, more propagandists, more schemers that will come and lie to you rather than to employ or hire real economists that can take you out of the APC-induced poverty.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Get out.
ayé ìṣúra
Máyégún ti dé.
ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Máyégún máa wí.
Sorry if my starting music bores you.
Máyégún ti dé.
We are waiting for others to join in.
Máyégún máa wí.
ayé ìṣúra
Pound sterling, 10,000 pound sterling will give you 12.5 million naira in APC Nigeria.
ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí.
1,000 pound sterling will give you 1.25 million naira, which is 1,250,000 naira under APC. Ẹgbẹ́kẹ́gbẹ́.
ayé ìṣúra
And finally, subsidy is back. They just wanted to increase the price of petroleum, not because they wanted to fix the problem. Subsidy is back. The petroleum price is high and it's going to go higher. Have you shared the broadcast?
Máyégún máa wí.
ayé ìṣúra
Wọ́n tún ní Atiku tún jẹ́ Sadiki, which means you might have known Atiku Abubakar. Now they said he also forged his own name. He is also called Sadiki. Ogbon Sadiki.
Máyégún ti dé.
ọ̀jẹ̀lú ìṣúra
Máyégún ti dé.
When last did you see Tinubu, by the way?
Máyégún ti dé.
They don't post his picture now to show proof of life. We haven't seen him since he returned back from Paris.
máyégún ti dé.
Mutide. I was giving you highlights, so that it doesn't look like I didn't tell you what you are about to watch. For those of you who are real elders, older people, the ones who have come to even regret what your generation have done, I am talking about those of you older. Hang on, what's that? Okay, I think we're fine. Anyway, so I'm talking about you, the older people that are reasonable and responsible. Okay, I think that is, I'm sorry about that, by the way. That's you and this mobile. Finally, sorry about that. However, I'm talking about those of you who are real elders, older people, who are looking at what the world has turned to. And a lot of you, in fact, feel sorry for us. A lot of you look at this generation and the generation that are coming after and the ones after, and you are like, where is their future for them? You didn't see this coming. And because of this, so many of you have given, physical, verbal, financial support to the aspiration of these young people in Nigeria, aspiring for a better place than what this older criminal generation have done, and how much they have actually managed to also corrupt the younger generation that you can say it very boldly. That in Nigeria of today, no matter how worse or how bad these current criminals, this older generation are, when you look at those who are going to or waiting to take over from them, you realize that they are even worse. In that regard, they have corrupted every generation after them so as to carry on in this contraption. So this is me just trying to say there are others who also, you can call them old people. In fact, they have a track record of human rights activists. Now, when you call yourself human rights lawyer, that simply means you are not the friend to government, because it is the government that is mostly perpetuating inhuman actions against their own citizens that will likely require lawyers that will work on a pro bono. But you see, Nigeria is so conflicted, complicated, and at the same time, easily predictable. Now, what do I mean by that? There is a man called Olisa Agbakoba. And he happened to be he's the recent and the latest among some of these septuagenarians who have pretended for so long to be on the right side of the law, but because of human rights, a lot of digging were not really done on them. They were always part of the establishment. And in fact, their voices are louder or loudest if they are on the other side of the sharing divide, the same establishment, not that out of it, just on the other side. So they'll pretend to be fighting for human rights, Nigerians' rights. Now, you have heard that of Confessor Shoyinka. You have heard that of Clark. You have yet few others too, who have told everyone to ignore the facts, forget the law, forget morality. There's no morality in this game. Everybody should move on. And all our lives, because I grew up in Nigeria, all our lives from cradle, so when we start walking and then talking, we were made to believe that lying is wrong, stealing is wrong, cheating is wrong. In some instances, we were even raised to believe that all those things, they were sins that could end us, that we could end up in hellfire for those who went on the religious route as well. I mean, we were told never to do drug, never to transact it, never to get ourselves involved in any illegality. We were raised that way. Every child is told, if you do that, if they catch you, you are going to jail. If you do that, and if they, that's it. Nobody will come after you. If you do this, they will kill you. So how come all of us who were raised that way, maybe not all of us, but many of us who were raised that way, now have leaders, who are completely, exact what they told us never to do? And then you started wondering, what exactly is the difference? Like what is right and what is wrong, and the rest of that. So in that same society, you could ask yourself again, like, how did we come by where we have become people who have been so kind of a soulless, people who don't have real feelings anymore. They don't care about consequences anymore. Society that's now become so much like institutionalized lying, things that are supposed to be vices, right there. But here we are, where you see the likes of Olisa, Agbaku Aba, because that's what I think is the closest I could rename him. Abiru Agbaku Lele. Lawyers who knows about the crime of forgery and lying under oath. Many of them who have actually took up battles with Tinubu on this issue of forgery. This is how I'm going to make you understand this conversation better. Okay? You see, this man is a senior advocate of nuisance, or simply put, senior advocate of nonsense. He is a respected, what do you call it, a respected elder or elder statesman. Until now, we don't know, we don't know what is really wrong with a lot of older people right now in Nigeria. I am talking about, this is somebody you know, but there are many others that you know them personally, and you start having this conversation about these wrongs with them, and the way they kind of react or respond makes you question, like, what is really wrong with them? Dele Farutimi said that thank God for Tinubu. That if Tinubu didn't happen to Nigeria, a lot of people you actually hold them in high esteem. You know, people you respect a lot. You would never have known their role and deep involvement in Nigeria's unfortunate miseries. Listen, when they mention the names like Olisa Agbakoba, names like Ruth, I mean, not Rotimi Philip, that one is like a big guy. Femi Falana. I mean, you easily approach them as what? Human rights activists. But the devil lies in the details. Number one, they are lawyers. Okay? Which means their job is to defend anyone that is their client. Right? And it's also lawyers that will prosecute that person that is also their client. Theirs is to ensure that their client is set free. Okay? So, that same people, as a cover-up, they are also the lawyers who are drafting different legal policies for so many multinational companies in Nigeria, helping them to dupe Nigeria as long as they can pay them well. They don't care. So by the time you look at all of the agreement and the legal whatever they put together, and you ask which chamber is working for Shell, is working for Chevron, is working for this bank, is working for that business, and all of those things, right? You will find the same human rights activists, lawyers. The media present them as human rights activists. So when they make all of those underhand dealings for those criminals, then you see those ones who are politicians, they are also their friends, okay? So if there's a case of a forgery against them, the same human rights lawyers that are going to pretend to be fighting bad governments, they will also be the lawyers saving the criminals who are perpetuating the bad government. And they will tell you, I am just doing my job. So when they now put criminals in power, okay, and ensure that all of the laws protect the criminal, then they will now, when the criminal starts acting, they will now join the rest of you and say, we need to go and protest. This is so wrong, and on TV and all of that. Do you see how it can be complicated? So the media presents them. So many times, some of you are like, what has Professor Wole Soyinka said about this? What has Professor Musa Abdullahi said about it? What has the Sultan Kiniko? You are looking up to them to say something. Oh, what has Femi Falana said about this whole thing? And some of you are like, oh, I know it's this, and you are abusing and attacking them right now because a lot of you are just discovering that you have been fooled for so long. And in the way they have presented themselves in the last 25, 30 years in Nigeria, right? It can only take somebody like Tinubu to unravel all of them. Do you understand? Somebody asked me, Mayegun, Nigerians can no longer protest. I can't imagine what APC did to them. APC, I said, no, APC didn't do it. Apart from the fact that people are like, people have been made poorer. Okay, there's so much bothering people these days. Okay, I said, listen, the people that are always organizing protests, funding protests, there are many Nigerians have ignorantly followed. They didn't know the agenda of the protest. They didn't know the goal of those who set up all of this protest and all of that. They just felt like an opportunity to show anger against bad government. You are going to grab it. I said, those who used to organize protest and the media that used to normalize it, amplify it, and mobilize people for it,
They are now the people in government. See. Okay? Majority of them have been given appointments here and there under Bokwari since those who were organizing protests in Nigeria and getting every other part of Nigeria to join. Historically, they have been the Yorubas, my people. You know, I didn't have that smile on my face or that grin on my face just to show probably like I'm proud of it. No. I'm just kind of like, look at it. I come from the people, from the region that has perfected, okay, the art of fooling the people and making them believe that those criminals from that my part of the country, they were progressives. Do you understand? They were those who are really democratic. So the template of what they were selling to people was that, do you remember do you remember the regional system of government? Do you remember the successes recorded by the Yorubas, especially the Western region government, how they did it and all of that? Look at these guys from Yoruba land. They are the descendants of those political ideology, progressive politics. So they now sold the idea that Chief Obafemi Awolowo was like the best president that Nigeria never had. So that image, which we really milked, we milked it for so long, okay, until people started falling by the way and started showing their true color, that they were never in any way progressives, okay? They are intolerant people, and you can easily call them fascist. If you don't go their way, that means you can either get killed or indeed you could get roped into anything. This type of Bolekaja politics was the local one, but the picture we sold to the world was that we are so progressively minded as Yorubas. We are good in administration. We are very good in development. All we need to show the world what we are capable of doing, which Nigeria truncated in 1966, was democracy. So the idea was sold. And a lot of people now started seeing people from that part of Nigeria as, wow, the Yorubas, they are so intellectual, they are this or that. So whenever they want to weigh in on national issues, okay, they usually weigh in from the position of people who are like sitting on the high horse, living on the old glory. All this while, when democracy started, okay, our people have become more poorer. Our areas have become more underdeveloped. Our people are living in more poverty today when we now have Yorubas who are governors, who are senators, Yorubas who are lawmakers, Yorubas who are commissioners, Yorubas who are contractors governing Yoruba land in the last 24 years. So eventually what I'm trying to bring out here is that in this position, when anyone from our part of Nigeria weighs in on national issue, is weighing in from the region that is considered most educated, most advanced, and the kind of most prosperous in Nigeria. All of that are political. Do you understand? So therefore, a lot of people would like to listen. Now, those who have cashed in on, on this narrative and to be able to participate in the Nigeria Bigger project, when that of a Bokwari opportunities came, those who were like, occupy Nigeria, remember, they became the members and the vuvuzelas for Bokwari's government. You remember? So from this background, they gave them vice presidential slots. So and the vice president to Buhari, this is the story. Buhari is an illiterate, okay, that never ever passed any professional examination other than just shoot and kill and all that. And he came from a region that's considered politically advantaged. Yeah. So for those who usually organize protest formed NLC. And all of you may be wondering, how come NLC, Ushiomole, became the party of Tinubu? Immediately, his term ended as a labor leader. Abi? Then he joined DC. He became governor. When Tinubu used their own legal abracadabra at the time to get him reinstated. Abi? Remember? So you didn't know that those who used to fund and organize whether strike or protest and all of that, they've always been from the southwest Nigeria, at least in the last 24 years, or in the last 34 years, rather, from the early 90s. Okay? So immediately they gave them, Yorubas have to be, like the vice. And that vice president was like, a motivational speaker. I'm talking about Pastor Ruga. It was like they called him the golden boy or star boy. It was the one going about dropping figures here and there and dropping numbers and all of this talk until they destroyed Nigeria, bankrupted Nigeria. Today, he's back as a pastor, motivational speaker as well. Now, the bottom line is this. From the moment they came in, organizing strike or what have you ended. So the military, the police, they became emboldened because there is no Southwest media, okay, to gaslight them, report to the world. There are no personalities from the Western Nigeria to come up and say, you know what I mean? I'm talking about the known faces, to come out and say, this country is going bad, you are failing. They couldn't do that because they are now in government. They cannot start organizing public disobedience against the government they put in place. That is why Nigerians could no longer organize any real protest. So when NSAS happened, that was a shocker. It was a shocker, not just to those who are used to organizing it. It is also a shocker to the rest of the entire establishment, because for the first time, they couldn't pinpoint who were those who organized it. How did it start? They were surprised. And that was why they lost control of it. Murdered people, did all they did. They lost total control. And you know what happened after? The Western media, the media from the Western part. And when I say Western media, these are not Yoruba media alone. No. You have Igbos who have their media set up. It's a political concentration in Nigeria. It's deliberate. You see them, all of the, when you say Western, you will see the Northern own publishing media house in Lagos. You will see Igbo publishing media house in Lagos. They have names. You go to hear The Sun, The Nation, Vanguard. You'll be hearing The Punch. You'll be hearing This Day, and the rest of them. They were all publishing from the Western Nigeria. The control is there. So once the money goes out, there were those who were helping them to amplify. Nobody died. Nobody died. There is no evidence. There are people are just making all these things up on social media and all of that. That is what the media does. So if it was the same criminals who were organizing and fooling you till they got what they wanted, it would have been like Syria. The media would have presented the entire Nigeria like it's a Syria, like you are in Lebanon or something. But because they were the one that they have to do so much. And that was when it came to them that social media is so powerful. How can they control it? That means they can no longer control the information that goes out anymore. They lost control of that, but they still kept the control of the local media in Nigeria, where they could easily unleash some of these old relics to share their opinion on something that is in black and white. Now they are now saying this whole thing needs to stop. All this accusation against Tinubu, All this nonsense needs to stop. We need to wait for the court. We need to wait for Supreme Court to confirm whether Tinubu certificate is issued by the Chicago State University or not. So when you turn your TV on now, you will see a lot of them there making opinion, telling people that they should not look at all the evidence, forget about them. You know, don't listen to all these people. All this nonsense, they call it nonsense. Forgery and perjury. They say it's nonsense. Baba. And it is only on social media that people are saying, what the hell is going on? If you turn on your radio in Nigeria now, millions of people believe that Chicago State University confirmed Tinubu that he graduated and they issued him a certificate. Millions of Nigerians right now believed that the story of him be doing heroin trafficking in America or forfeiting money in America and all of those things about drug dealings and all that, yeah? They believe that they are just lies from his enemies. They are not making people see any illegality here at all. Like, what waiting now? Shake out, don't talk, saying don't forge. They are telling people that they should wait for the court to say he forged or he didn't. Remember the tribunal, when all of the evidence were everywhere, these same supposed respected old men and women, they were grabbing a microphone and camera everywhere, telling the people to not mind all those things. They are just nonsense. At first, they said it was 10 years ago. It's over 10 years. This was like over 30 years ago. That's nonsense. Old case. So morality is no longer anything. But ladies and gentlemen, it did not start today. Okay? I need to take you back, history line a bit. I'm going to give you some, media cutout from the time Tinubu was first caught to have forged his certificate. It's not that people didn't fight, okay? But do you know that our own respected senior advocate of, nonsense or nuisance, Sir Femi Falana, was actually Tinubu's lawyer? Some of the talking points you are hearing today, there are so many people are using again today. They are not different from the talking points of 24 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. It is like a script. And I just kind of believe that you should all go, I've told you this before, you should all go get ready to live with Kolu and his criminals for 8 years. Now, if that gets you kind of angry, then you know what to do if you don't want to live under Kolu for 8 years. Apart from that, there is no help coming from anywhere. They will unleash these people. So I was reading a few times, a few places where people say, where is Mr. Femi Falana? Where is Femi Falana? This fella said, well, what would you want him to say? Do you know his defense in 1999? In September 1999, when Tinubu was being dragged on the fact that he forged his certificate. You know what happened then? Tinubu presented a certificate to INEC. And in that certificate, he said he went to government college, Ibadan. So that came out as a lie. But he presented a fake certificate. Mind you, he was already elected, though. He was already sworn in. Okay? So he presented fake certificate then. He didn't go to any school called Government College, Ibadan. Okay? Then he presented a certificate that he went to University of Chicago. Not Chicago State University. University of Chicago. That was a lie. That was when he got caught. Do you know the person who advised Tinubu of what to do? Femi Falana. And what did he tell him to do? Number one, he told him, nobody can sue him and he cannot sue anybody. They were quoting the part of immunity in the Constitution. And he said, the only people that can really probe Tinubu of his certificate is going to be the State House of Assembly, the Lagos State people. Okay? So because of this, they now prompted the Lagos State House of Assembly to set up an investigation committee to investigate the allegation of certificate forgery against Tinubu. So when they set that up, Tinubu now went and attended that committee's hearing when they invited him. And there he told them he lost all of his certificates when Abacha bombed his house when he was in exile, fighting for democracy. Okay? So he couldn't locate all of them. That's why he had to use an affidavit and all of that. So they took his own statement, which means Tinubu confirmed that the document he presented is not fake. The reason why he couldn't produce the original was because the original were burnt. And the affidavit he presented is to prove what was in the original. And they now said, anybody that has the evidence that Tinubu did not, so you have to come and prove it, that Tinubu did not graduate from the University of Chicago. You have to come and prove it, bring evidence. And in their own ruling, they said, you have to bring the original certificate. You know, Tinubu no get them. And if you say the certificate Tinubu presented is fake, you must present the original. So they asked the petitioner, Chief Gani Fawemi, to go and look for the original certificate in order to prove that the affidavit that Tinubu presented is fake. So they now waited for 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks, they now came back and they ruled that Tinubu is discharged and acquitted. Do you get that? And what they said was that we did not plan to impeach Tinubu. We plan to investigate the allegation of forgery. And we found out that for 2 weeks, no single petition against Tinubu was submitted to them. Since they didn't receive any petition or against Tinubu, and Tinubu has already attended the panel and gave evidence, their final ruling is that there is no forgery allegation against Tinubu. Anybody who has any allegation against him can then go to court. So on that ruling of the, on that ruling of the State House of Assembly, that emboldened Tinubu, and they started seeing Gani Fawemi as a real enemy. The real campaign, media campaign, and all of that against Gani Fawemi just started after that. So Gani Fawemi was now seen as a problem. Kinigon, the House of Assembly already said it's already okay. They've cleared him. What is wrong with this man? So they started writing and writing. But there is one thing there. Chief Gani Fawemi didn't stop. He now sued. No, hang on. It was before then. Festus Keyamo, who was working in the chambers of Chief Gani Fawemi, now sued the State House of Assembly for the kangaroo trap they set in order to free Tinubu. He now sued them. And at the end of the day, the Supreme Court of Nigeria ruled that Tinubu cannot be sued. It cannot be taken to court. The only time for anybody to sue Tinubu is going to be in 2003, which means if he loses the election in 2003, he is now free. You can then sue him for that crime. You know that Supreme Court ruling? That Supreme Court ruling, they are keeping it for Atiku. They are also keeping it for Obi. Obedient. I have told you this before. And I kind of know that a lot of you have learned how to manage your expectation, which is fine. A lot of you didn't know. Maybe you did know that on this issue of forgery, there is already a Supreme Court ruling that said Tinubu cannot be sued. So that is why In 2013, 2014, Jonathan's government decided to bring the case up again by charging Tinubu for perjury and forgery, that he submitted a fake document to INEC in 1999. When Jonathan's people told him that the thing with Tinubu and this CPC will do you, it go do you like Fimo. If you don't quickly cut the head of the snake, Tinubu, you are going to lose in 2015 with what these guys are planning. So Jonathan was advised to use that forgery of 1999 against Tinubu, so that they can use that to checkmate him as a compromat. Okay? Now he has no immunity. At least the Supreme Court said he had immunity. You cannot try him. You see, from the State House of Assembly to the court, to Supreme Court, Femi Falana was the King Kong behind Kolu at the time. He was his lawyer. I mean, he was just doing his job, Abi. He was doing his job. Even though he was also very vocal, fighting the federal government, like in all of that. He was very prominent at the Oputa panel too. Barrister Femi Falana. And what he kept telling the court everywhere he went was that Tinubu get immunity. You cannot touch him. So, apart from that, within the League of Lawyers, as in all of the lawyers themselves, they started turning Chief Gani Faweyimi to a pariah. While the young Femi Falana, a promising bright lawyer around that time, was telling people, listen, this is not a case of morality. Okay? At least, there were so many of us who said people should not vote, because we knew that all of these things were scripted in 1999. But people voted anyway. So which means the immoral system has been put in place. So everything we do inside this system is based on the system we put in place. So nobody should come and start talking about morality. Okay? Why are you doing that? You are defending forgery. You are defending this and that. Yes, I am defending it because the system allows us to elect criminals. So since the criminals are elected, I'm going to do my job. That was his excuse. 24 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. I'll show you some. You know, it was at the early stage. I go to read some, it's like a newspaper article. Olisa Agbakoba, when the wahala of Tinubu's forgery started. Here is a newspaper article from Monday, September 20, 1999. Human rights activists in the country may be heading for a historic clash as Messias Olisa Agbakoba and Femi Falana may take up the defense of Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu if their colleague Chief Gani Faweyimi makes good his threat to sue the governor over perjury. Already, another comrade in arms, Dr. Bekora Samkuti, has been pitted against Faweyimi, whose 7-day ultimatum on Tinubu to defend himself of the charges lapses today. There are, however, indications that Lagos State House of Assembly may today constitute a panel to investigate the allegations. Faweyimi had given the ultimatum last Monday in response to what he termed controversy surrounding Tinubu's eligibility as the governor of the state and threatened to proceed on the second phase of his crusade if he did not receive any reply in 7 days. His threat was equal to allegations of forgery of certificates first raised by an Abuja newspaper today in a recent edition where it alleged that Tinubu did not attend University of Chicago and Government College Ibadan as Tinubu claimed in his INEC form. The newspaper also alleged that Tinubu was born in 1952 instead of the 1954 which he filed in his form. Do you see that the scenario of 1999 is playing out again? So Tinubu ended up spending 8 years as governor, installed his successor, and then own half of the state's resources for life. So do you see the replay of that playing out now? Where supposed human rights activists or supposed people who knows the right from wrong were already fighting somebody they felt like, what is your problem? Gone, leave him alone. So here is that shot. Then if you go on again, there's a Vanguard of that same September. Okay, it said, Lagos lawyer Mr. Festus Keyamo yesterday filed an action. In fact, there is actually one. Let me see, where is that one? Falana says, this is where Falana sort of spoke about people talking about, morality and the rest. Yeah, I'm coming on. Yeah. So here, let's go to this one where Tinubu Falana says, case closed. Fawayimi demands trial. Okay. Now, some war of words raged yesterday on the Lagos State House of Assembly's acquitter of Governor Bola Tinubu from charges of impropriety. Lawyer to the governor, Mr. Femi Falana, said the matter was effectively closed for the duration of his client's tenure. But fiery critic Chief Gani Fawayimi insisted there was a case to answer and that the alleged offenses were impeachable. Falana could not see how he would meet Fawayimi, hitherto a long-time ally, in court over the matter, since no one could legally sue the governor in private capacity. Even then, he said, persons who claim to have evidence against Tinubu will have to wait till 2003 to be able to sue him. Fielding questions from reporters, Falana touched on criticism of the House of Assembly for investigating the matter, as well as the contention of some lawyers that the matter should be investigated beyond the confine of the House. According to him, besides Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, which gives the governor complete immunity from prosecution, the only person or group of persons that can sue him are those who contested the election with him. This was Falana. And there is a time limit for challenging the result of an election, as spelled out in the state government basic constitution and transition decree 39 of 1999. The decree, Falana said, stated that election petitions filed before the election tribunal must be determined within 30 days from the date it was filed, and that only a person who contested the election can file such a petition. With 4 months into the democratic dispensation and almost 9 months after the last elections were held, Falana said that, in quote, it is not possible in Nigeria today to declare the election of any governor or president null and void, adding that not even a card-carrying member of a party or an electorate has the right to institute legal proceedings in court against the governor, his deputy, the vice president, and the president, not to talk of somebody who did not believe in the transition program. He was referring to Gani Fawayimi. Falana said, perjury and forgery did not come up at all, since perjury meant a false testimony given in the course of judicial proceedings or in anticipation of judicial proceedings, adding that in the case of President Bill Clinton of the United States, he appeared before a grand jury and repeatedly lied on oath. That's Falana. Picking holes in the argument of forgery, Falana, relying on Section 35 of the Constitution, said that before one can claim forgery, he must produce the certificate allegedly to have been forged. He challenged those claiming to have evidence against the governor on forged certificate to produce such, adding that the onus was on them to prove the allegation and not the other way around. The lawyer said that although the governor's opponents were dropping the perjury and forgery allegations and pursuing the false declaration of on oath, the onus was still on them to prove the case. He said, what we are now made to understand is that the only one that still has to be taken up by the Inspector General of Police is the allegation that the governor made false declaration, which is taken care of by Section 191 of the Criminal Code. Under our law, as the law stands, and there are so many decisions on this point, including the case between Garuba and the University of Maiduguri, which was handled by Chief Gani Fawayimi, up to the Supreme Court. The procedure of the law is that only a court of law can pronounce guilt on any citizen. It is so elementary. Only a properly constituted court of law can pronounce guilt on any citizen. No television house, no radio station, No newspaper can accuse a citizen of a criminal offense in Nigeria, try him, and condemn him. You must drag him to a court of law. That is the provision of Section 36(1) of the 1999 Constitution. You cannot sit in your house and call somebody a crook or a criminal. He has to be tried and adjudged guilty by an independent body. What we have said in the case of Tinubu, if you are so sure that you have this avalanche of evidence against him, you may have to wait till the year 2003. That is what the law is saying. Section 308, no amount of blackmail will take the place of law. So Falana said that this was 24 years ago, not today. Oh. So for those who are listening to me, this is not today. This was Falana defending Tinubu 24